Hi, Suzanne. I'm Sarah from the upcoming. An absolute pleasure to be here with you in Cannes. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Huge congratulations on the film. For people who haven't seen Colours of Time yet, what can they expect going into this movie?
I think it's a very beautiful movie because it deals with a lot of different topics. It deals with family, but also with roots, and it deals with different period of times. But I think it's really interesting to see the evolution of art during time, and also the way that youth is actually a universal topic. And I think this is what Cedric knows to do. It's to portray young people in a different period of time. So I think it's a very beautiful movie because you can see it with your family, but also with your friends, with anybody.
And it's such an original concept. It's not like anything I've really seen before, and also very ambitious, doing the present day, then going back to the 19th century. It's both sort of got realism, but then also this element of time travel. So when you read the script, what really jumped out to you?
I was really surprised because I thought that everything was very smooth, his jumping between the 19th century and today, but I didn't feel that it would be awkward when we would watch the movie. So I was really surprised, but also very at ease with the process of the movie. And I was obviously really struck by Adele's character. I wanted to play her. I wanted to portray this young girl who's very determined to find who she is, but also to find where she comes from. And there's a mix between shyness and also she's a very strong-willed young woman. And I think this is what seduced me when I first read the script. And also I knew that Cedric was the right person to direct such a film. So yeah, I was happy to be a part of it.
And where do you even begin when you're going to be playing a character from the 19th century? Because I guess over and above the normal work you're doing as an actor in terms of your lines, etc., and looking at the character, you have to think about the completely different context.
I think it starts with the outfit, actually. Well, obviously you learn your lines, but I think that Cedric didn't want us to talk in a different way, and it was a great idea because what works in the movie is that everything is smooth, as I told you, and there's no big difference between Abraham, who plays the young one in the present time, and Vasily, Paul, and I, who are playing the young people in the period part of the film. But I think that when you put on the corset and the dress and when you have your hair done, you suddenly realize what it was to be a woman at that time. And also because Adele is a character who comes from a different background. She's really like, she does things with her hands, and she works in the fields and stuff like that. So it helped me to wear these dresses, to change the way I walk, to change the way I move. And I think it really started with the outfit. The first time I put it on, it really gave me keys to play her.
And did you have to kind of go back and do any research about that time period? Was it anything that was familiar to you? Was it all there in the script for you already?
I was familiar with l'impressionnisme. I was familiar with that because it's a period of time that I really like, and I think it's so important in the art sphere to know everything about it. I don't know everything about Impressionism, but I kind of studied it at school, so I knew that topic quite well. But it was fun because when we started shooting, Paul, who plays the painter, offered me a book about the best painters in the 19th century, and Vasily, who plays the photographer, offered me the same book but about photography, and so they were fighting together. And so it was also really interesting to discover that period of time through the books they gave me. So I think it was my research, or also because Cedric gave us a little documentary about that time to see Paris at that time, and to see also like the first international star, Sarah Bernard. And it's like there are old images of her playing in a theater, and we see girls and boys all dressed up in a very old Paris with horses and no electric lights. And so you picture yourself and it becomes more clear. Yeah.
And it's, a pretty big ensemble cast if you count together, the people in the present day and the 19th century. But I guess you worked more closely with the people in your scenes, in particular Paul, who I actually saw also in Meteors, a fantastic actor. And this is a completely different role. So it's almost impressive to see how he's switched from one to the other.
He's great.
So what was it like working alongside these people?
It was great because before knowing them in real life, I knew their work and I really looked up to them. And I was really happy to be able to play with Paul and Vasily because I knew that we had the same values and we actually have the same taste, I think. And I realized that it was the truth when I started talking with them and discovered their personalities. And also, I think that what we shared with Paul is that we became very close very quickly because what we have to play in the movie is a love story, but there's also this kind of shyness between us. And I think that this shyness still exists in real life because when I admire someone, I can be a little shy, and especially if that person is my age. So with Paul, I had this kind of feeling, and I think it helped me to play the situation with him, but it was a real joy to share these scenes with them. I was really happy to meet them and to work with them.
And in terms of, Adele leaving her home behind to go and search for a new life, was that something that you felt like you could really connect with as well about her as a character?
I would like to be able to do that. I think she's more fearless than I am, and I would love to be a little more fearless than I am in real life. But I think that what's interesting in this character is that a lot of young women of today can actually relate to her and can relate to her story because even though she's in the period part of the movie, I think that what she's fighting for and what she's looking for is very actual. She wants to know where she comes from. She wants to discover her parents, her story, her background. And this is something that I want too. Obviously, I didn't ask myself the same questions as she does, but it's really important when you're in your 20s to discover who you are by discovering where you come from. And I think that this is what the movie is all about. And this is what I was telling you, that this is a great universal movie because anybody can relate to it to me.
Tell us a bit about working with Cedric. And the guys I just interviewed were very much singing his praises. Just, the atmosphere he creates on set and, how creative he is and, bringing this quite and comedic tone, that there's an undercurrent of it in the film. So what was it like working with him for you?
I never really say that, but I'm going to say that for Cedric because it really was a dream coming true because I grew up watching his films and rewatching his films, and I really admire his work and I really wanted to work with him, but as a dream, not as a career plan or anything. But when I heard about the movie, I suddenly felt that I needed to be a part of it, and I was right because I read the script and I fell in love with the story and the character. And working with him, it's actually great because he allows you to be playful. He allows you to be free when you play, and he also brings this kind of joy and family atmosphere on set. He's really generous, he's really joyful, he's really focused also. And so it really taught me that you can make movies, combine it with happiness actually. You don't have to suffer to make a movie, you don't have to suffer to be good in a movie. You can also just have fun and enjoy the scenes you have to play, enjoy the team you're working with. And I think Cedric is really all about that. When he comes on set in the morning, the only thing he wants, well, it's making the best movie possible, but also to see that everybody feels at ease on his set. And it's so precious to have that.
And did you have a favorite moment on set, or one that was most challenging? And I guess that's the thing when you're doing kind of a period set piece. It is all the costumes and, you know, everything has to be perfect. It's not the same as just shooting in Paris in the modern
You
day.
have to be really patient because it's more long than a traditional film. But, and also because we were shooting in Paris just right before the Olympics, so it was kind of complicated to find the right street at the right moment, but we did it. I remember that because we had to shoot the boat scenes, we went to Normandy for 3 days, and so we kind of escaped all together, and it was kind of the end of the shoot, and it was so great to be able to just go away with them and be in a bubble for 3 days on this boat with our costumes and stuff, and just we were really living in the 19th century for 3 days, and it was kind of my favorite memory of the set, yeah.
I guess touching on what you said earlier in terms of the takeaways, you know, this idea that we do need to go back to our pasts to understand who we are, understand our identities, and also the importance of remembering the past. And I guess because of the sort of the young cast, you know, maybe that's something that can also really speak to the newer generation.
Yeah, I think that it's really smart. This is what I love about Cedric, that he made the choice to bring the young generation of actors in the past moment of the movie. Like, we're playing very confirmed actors' ancestors, and I think it's really cool and it's really original to do that. And I think this is so touching for us also to be able to question ourselves about our family history, to feed ourselves for the characters we're playing. It was really interesting also to dive into this period of time, because today with social media, with AI, with everything like that, we question ourselves about art and what's the destiny of it and how are we going to create with this new form of intelligence. And it was also a very useful and enjoyable pause for us to be able to just put ourselves in the 19th century for 2 months and just shooting these young people who cannot read, cannot write. And I think I've learned that I wanted to be more in the moment in my own life.
Obviously, it goes without saying, must be a bit of a dream to have the film here in Cannes. But what does it mean to you personally?
It's a real joy because it's the best place to show a film here. I mean, everybody's there to watch cinema from all over the world, and it's really moving to be in Cannes. It's also very moving because it's Cedric's first selection in Cannes, even though he has made 15 movies and he has 30 years of career behind him. But I'm really proud to be with him for this special occasion and to be able to share it with him for his first time. I'm very happy for the film and I'm very happy for us, but I'm mostly happy for him.
And do you think it played quite differently to a French audience, obviously there's such an international audience here as well?
I don't know, I have no idea, because I think that in a way the film is very French, but it can have a certain appeal for international audience, so I don't know. It's a question I was asking myself today in the plane to go there, and I'm curious to discover that after the screening.
How do you think this film fits in with your career? What have you taken from this that's different?
No, but I'm starting, so it's a very big deal for me because it's the first time I have such a huge part in a film, and I'm really happy that it's this one and that I get to defend this young woman that I'm very proud to have defended. And I think it's always important in a career to make movies that you believe in. And I definitely believe in this movie since the very first time I read it. So it's a real pride for me to be here.
Do you know what you're going to be doing next?
Well, actually, I arrived this morning. I arrived from Mauritius. I was shooting a film there. I was in Mauritius yesterday.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of it's a big change, but I'm happy to be there. And it's a film by Gustave Carverne with Mathieu Amalric and Léa Drucker, who was there actually with Dossier 137, a film in competition by Dominique Moll. And I just finished to write a movie with Claire Denis and she wrapped it. It stars Matt Dillon and Isaac de Boncolet.
So you're already hitting some of the big directors. Are there any that you would really love to work with that you haven't done though yet? Any idols out there?
I'm kind of superstitious, so I'm not sure I can. But you know what? I know that I have a lot of dreams, but I think that my biggest dream is to have the opportunity to make films that I only want to make like 100% and that I want to defend 100% with people I love artistically. And so I don't have a precise example, but I'm sure that it can be a first movie. It can be anything, since I just know that I do it with my heart and not for some other calculated reasons.
And it does feel like a great time to be coming into the industry as you. Oh, sorry.
Maybe the last question.
Oh, sorry. To be coming into the industry as a young woman, particularly the cinema landscape in France. I mean, you've got people like Isabelle Huppert, like, you know, just like still doing such amazing roles, you know? So do you feel very excited about where it is right now?
Yeah. I think I'm really excited to see that there's more and more space for women in our industry and in France. And I think that I'm really proud to arrive in the industry at this precise moment, because I think that earlier it was kind of complicated to have the right space to express yourself when you were a woman. So I hope that we are on our way for something even more safe and spacious for us.
Yeah, very well put. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Huge congrats on the film.
Thank you.
I really enjoy this moment presenting it here in Cannes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.